They're through to the grand final and a chance of their third successive premiership. If they lose, they're out.
The Bulldogs' last premiership was way back in 1980. These players are older and wiser now, and just as determined. The mystery is just how well Steve Mortimer has recovered from injuries sustained last week. With Mortimer, Canterbury are a major force. Without him, it's a different story.
3 changes to the Parramatta lineup from last week's losing side. Lydiard, Cleland and Hunt are out. Into the side come Ron Hilditch, Paul Taylor and Brad Williams. It's Hilditch's first game in first grade since retiring at the beginning of the year. And Peter Sterling seems to have overcome his bronchial problems.
No changes to Canterbury's winning lineup. Little surprising to see Gary Hughes in the side after a lacklustre performance. But Ted Glossop is obviously confident, while Steve Mortimer has that injury question mark hanging over him.
Both teams have a lot of experience on the reserve with the preliminary final. Canterbury electing to receive and utilising the small amount of breeze that's at the cricket ground today. Just on the Canterbury quarter line, Pittman. Caught by Hilditch. Now Mortimer, Robinson. Taking on the Parramatta forwards. Back for Chris Mortimer. Taylor waiting for it. And heavy work going in on young Paul Taylor. 10 metres short of halfway. This is Brad Williams. Taylor and Sterling. Sharp. Johnson and Pittman. And Robinson in to assist. Price to Sterling. Kenny. A half break. Mears standing out wide. Stephen Folkes, the tackler. Mears may have hurt himself. Sterling. Back for Chris Mortimer. Over the quarter mark. Finally held by Growth. There's the head-to-head confrontations this year, with Parramatta winning only the semi-final match. Now Mortimer. Trying to get between Growth and Taylor. Now it's Growth. Taylor did well to get to that ball. Just inside Canterbury's half. Sharp. Right in centre field. Gary Hughes again wearing that headgear after Beatson. You surprised to see him use that again?
I'm certainly surprised, but maybe we might be a little bit harsh on Gary Hughes because Graham Hughes said he's got a very bad head wound.
Here's Ray Price. Now it's Taylor, Cronin, Nella. .32 metres out from the Canterbury line. Sterling, now Ron Hilditch, wearing jumper number 10, which is a second rower's jumper, of course, but Hilditch is playing in the front row. Paul Mears is in the second row, wearing jumper 11. Here's Sterling. Trouble for Mortimer trying to pick it up, but it's with Armstrong. First penalty of the match has gone to Canterbury. Well, plenty of movement in the match in the opening moments, Arthur Beatson.
Well, there certainly is. There hasn't been any turnovers at the moment, but both sides creeping up. I thought Canterbury could have been pinched a couple of times for being inside the 5, but they're electing to play it down in Parramatta's territory.
Andrew Farah with the kick for touch. Finds it 11 metres short of the halfway mark. In Canterbury territory, it's Armstrong, Steve Mortimer and Johnson. Oh, a very big hit. Ron Hilditch hurt himself. Hilditch came in with a big hit and may have injured himself, but will stick with play as Canterbury moving it wide. Chris Mortimer up to halfway. Ron Hilditch is in trouble. Here's Gary Hughes and Robinson. Robinson takes a power of stopping. inside the Parramatta half. Ron Hillage coming to the sideline. I believe he's damaged his right arm. Back with Paul Taylor. Out of one, but caught 10 metres inside the Parramatta half. Now Taylor, just over the halfway mark. Well, this will be a blow if Hillage is injured, and he's in trouble, Hillage. This is Mears. Parramatta trainer has signalled to the dressing room. What a blow for Parramatta after Beetson.
It certainly is a blow. Trainer Richards has called for a replacement here, and it certainly will be a blow because they were expecting Ron Hillage to put that starch in the Parramatta's defence.
Well, Ron Hillage has elected to stay on the field. Showing a lot of courage because the trainer did call for a replacement. Peter Wynn came to the sideline. Here's Canterbury now with Gary Hughes and Chris Mortimer just inside or outside the Canterbury quarter line. This is Pittman. John Coveney, 32 metres out from the Canterbury line. Parramatta doctors coming to the sideline. Steve Mortimer has it. Trying to get over Brad Williams' head, and he does so with a lovely kick from Steve Mortimer. There's the corner line, and that was a great kick from Mortimer.
Certainly was, Ian. He's left off where he started last week, and there's Hillage, still has that shoulder drape. After it looked like he pinched a nerve or something. He was in a lot of pain, but he seems to be getting some use back.
Well, he certainly is at the moment. He's just hoping that he can work that arm, or it looks like it could be in the forearm, and we might see him stay on the field.
Right scrum win to Parramatta. This is Cronin. Cronin looking to unload, but there was no one there. Price says, I'll have it. He goes forward. Price with a good bustling run. Taken by Coveney, unloads to Taylor though. Parramatta staying to throw it round. This is Kenny, tackled right on the 22 line. Peter Mortimer the tackler. Back to Sterling. This game being played at a fierce pace, and no beg your pardons out there, let me tell you. Sharp. This is Cronin. Cronin out of one, slips the ball away to Grove. Grove pulls it back inside to Kenny, but he's put his foot in the touch. Oh, and looking dangerous then, Parramatta. Arthur will just take this replay. This is Growth. Down the sideline. There's the foot into touch there. Pack's going in now. Pack waits. Parramatta 5.52. Canterbury 5.20. So a big edge for Parramatta. A win against the head. This is a good one. Oh, no. High tackle then too on Taylor. Out to Cronin. Cronin bustles into too much defence there. Stephen Folkes, one of the tacklers of this Canterbury side. Bugden. Mears. Sterling. Out to Cronin. On to Price. Price almost out of one. Arthur Summons, you're on the sideline. Information from there.
Yeah, well, Jack Gibson said that the same situation they're in this year as they were last, and they went on to win it. He's emphasised they must get back to no mistake and panic football, and I've never seen a more determined side. Canterbury, on the other hand, of course, very upset with the siding of Johnson. Ted Glossop used that as a most motivational point. They want to open up strongly, and that's the way they're actually playing the game now.
He's kicked 99 for the season. A success rate of 71%. It's in front, and midway between the quarter and a half, it's got the height, it's got the distance, but waved away. Nick Cronin having a lot of trouble over the last couple of weeks trying to reach that magic 100 mark. Chris Mortimer plays it back now, and Canterbury inside their 22. This is Farah, hit by Bugden and Sharp. Batiri. Oh, and a big tackle again from Hillage. He's showing plenty of courage because that arm is still dangling. Hughes with the ball up for Pittman. No, it's Coveney. Back for the clearing kick. Brad Williams back to cover it. There's Taylor in support. Oh, and Williams ran into a big tackle there. That's his 26th birthday today, and that's the best present he'll get today. Big hit on Williams. Stephen Edge, dummy half. Parramatta looking a lot cleaner this week, Arthur Beetson.
They certainly are. Mick Cronin mightn't be kicking well, but he's certainly playing well. He's causing quite a few problems out wide, standing in tackles.
Same must be said about Canterbury's defence. It's been pretty solid.
Well, they are, and I think they are certainly creeping up inside the 5 there. They're very much keener.
Well, there's a classic example of how bad Hilditch's arm is. He couldn't pass that ball then. Had the ball and virtually dropped it. Watch this. There it goes. There's no movement in that shoulder. But if you're the coach of the side, Jack Gibson, what would you do with Hilditch?
Well, certainly he'd bring him off. Actually, he'd be a little bit disappointed, I think, that Ronnie didn't come off. He didn't obey his instructions, but I think he'll be coming on straight away.
Another win against the feed for Parramatta. It's 2 now. Jack Gibson shows very little emotion through a game. Grove. Tackled by Farah. Taylor, dummy half. Edge plays it back to Taylor, out to Sterling. This is Cronin. Cronin dumming, looking to unload, but the defence hits him hard. It's been all Parramatta at this stage. Have had plenty of attack. It's the 5th tackle, goes out to Sterling, and he just can't pass the ball. He's got to come off. Here's Mortimer come away with the ball now. And Canterbury in possession, Ian Maurice.
Well, with 10 minutes to play, Canterbury really using the football for the first time and looking good. Here's Parra. But caught, though. Desperation tackle from Sharp. Penalty has gone to Canterbury. And it's against Sharp. He did well to get there, but wasn't content to let it rest at that. Well, there's the Parramatta doctor working on Ron Hilditch. Hilditch shaking his head, saying he doesn't want to come off. But his coach might have other ideas. Now here's Armstrong. 10 metres in from touch, 35 metres out. It's going to fall short. It's a poor kick taken by Steve Ella. Now it's with Kenny. Kenny over the corner line. Kenny comes on the pace. Ella backing him up and almost to the halfway mark. Now Sterling, Bugden cutting out Bugden. Now Cronin on to Sharp. Back with Hilditch. Now Edge, Price, overhead pass for Mears. Mears to the halfway mark. Now Taylor and Sterling, Bugden, Price down, injured in back play. Tackle count restarts. Here's Cronin. Ball picked up by Canterbury, but referee Roberts ruling offside, indicating that it came off a Canterbury hand. And that was a pretty good decision from referee Roberts, as Ray Price is back to his feet and walking back to the play. He's been very involved in the play in the first 10 minutes or so, Arthur.
Yeah, Ray Price is certainly playing well. He had a quiet one last week, and he'd certainly be looking for a good game. There's certainly some, no beg your pardons, defence from Canterbury.
Oh, it's a torrent start. The game being played at a cracking pace. Here's Sterling with the place kick. Now it's Williams. They're only 15 metres out from the Canterbury line. Sharp, Bugden, Mears. Slipping at the Price. Price to the line, standing. But referee Roberts has recalled play and given a penalty to Canterbury. Well, he's ruled a pass forward. I wouldn't mind having a look at that. Price, yes, taking the ball in front of Mears, and looking at it from that angle, I'd say Roberts was right. Now the penalty. Finding touch 10 metres short of halfway. Good kick from Farah. No score in this game. Run around with Mortimer. Farah. Johnson over the halfway mark, caught by Mears. Some flimsy Parramatta defence early. Now here's Mortimer and Hughes running strongly was Pittman. Matiri. Caught by Hilditch. Seems to be getting more movement in his arm now. Steve Mortimer, Hughes. Run around with Mortimer. Now Parra. Parra up to the corner line. Beautiful tackle from Sharp. Underneath. Now Steve Mortimer, the kick. No one at home for Parramatta. Kenny's back there. Kenny's made a mess of it. Those Parramatta players are offside. Canterbury's broken up. It's for Anderson. Keeping it alive to Coveney. Coveney pushing his way towards the line, but Eric Growth, a desperation tackle for Parramatta. Canterbury only 5 metres out from the Parramatta line now. Here's Anderson. Caught by Bugden. Gary Hughes. Folks being driven back by Parramatta. Now they're 15 metres out. Hughes again. Steve Mortimer. Pittman. Caught around the ankles by Sterling. Now Hughes. Coveney. 9 metres out from the Parramatta line. Last tackle now for Canterbury. Back for Mortimer. Pressure for Parramatta. Taken beautifully by Paul Taylor. Gee, that was a pressure kick, a take from Taylor.
Actually, their defence, Parramatta, they picked up the defence, especially inside the own 22.
Here's Mick Cronin having a sprint. 35 metres out now from the Parramatta line. Good run from Cronin. Sterling, the run around with Growth. Out of one. And the pass has gone astray. Williams has spilled it, picked up by Folkes for Canterbury.
Folkes brings it back just over the halfway line. Still going, Folkes. Good run. Edge underneath. And this game being played at 100 miles an hour. And a very hot afternoon at the Sydney Cricket Ground. This is Hughes. Tackled well by Price, though. Head on. Belts him down. Matiri. Price again doing the tackling. He's doing a powerhouse of tackling. Arthur Beetson.
At the moment, we've got Kenny and Paul Taylor. They're interchanging in the fullback positions.
Penalty has gone to Parramatta. Matiri holding the tackled player. Kicking just inside Parramatta's half for touch. And this will restart play 10 metres out from the Canterbury 22. Sterling. The Ray Price, the run around with Bugden. Too much defence. Edge dummy half to Price. This is Hilditch. Mayers dummy half. Out to Price, getting very involved onto Sharp. Hughes and Robinson, the tacklers, with Matiri there to assist. Runner's starting to go all over the place. A set move as Growth comes up with the ball. And that's the 22 line you can see. Sharp dummy half. Out for the kick. Taken well though by Armstrong. Oh, he just kept his eye on the ball and took it well. Here's Mortimer. Little stepping run almost to the 22. With both sides going in with 2 and 3 men in the tackles, Arthur.
Well, they're certainly making sure the man with the ball doesn't get rid of the ball. There's some good defence over the top.
The driving run from Pittman. He takes play just outside the 22. Johnston back for the clearing kick for Chris Mortimer. Brad Williams takes it well, though, positioning himself well, Williams. He'll take the tackle, just short of the halfway line. Taylor dummy half to Sterling. Run around to Kenny. Kenny trying to get up. Sterling. Price. Sterling. This is Mears. Still just short of the halfway line. Parramatta not making too much ground at the moment. Price. This is Hilditch. Out they come the other side this time and put the ball in the air. Driving it down and Armstrong covers it. Oh, gee whiz, he did a juggling act. Magnificent display, and that brings a round of applause from the crowd from Armstrong. Great display. That ball was going to find touch and he handballed it in. Canterbury working play back to the 22. Chris Mortimer plays it back. Out for his brother Steve. Still inside the 22. Johnston. Folks to play it. Penalty though to Canterbury. Again, well, Arthur, this is a penalty that's been given away too freely lately.
Well, it certainly is. All they're doing, the needless penalties like that can certainly cost a side the game. At the moment, it's very evenly balanced. I feel that Parramatta have got to get the ball out a little bit wider, where Kenny and Cronin are causing quite a few problems. On a few occasions, Canterbury have busted Parramatta up the middle when they've failed to put the man on the ball, in position on the ground.
This is Coveney. Takes play just inside Parramatta's half. Mortimer looking for the runners, and there's plenty of them there. Pittman being involved early. On to Robinson. Robinson out of one. Oh, he's been strong the last couple of weeks. Robinson. Canterbury inside Parramatta's half now with Mortimer. This is Hughes wearing the headgear to guard that deep wound he has in his head as Farah takes the tackle. Arthur Summons on the sidelines.
Yes, both coaches have expressed their how pleased they are in regard to their defence. Both sides' defence has been a lot better than in previous games, particularly Parramatta's on that line. Hilditch is hurt, but he's shown plenty of guts. And, of course, they want another runner for Johnson, particularly in the Canterbury side.
Arthur Summons on the sideline. Both teams employing the kick quite freely. Canterbury have kicked on 8 occasions, Parramatta on 6. Gone with the feed, this one. This is Ella. Williams and Cronin. Well wrapped up, though, by Peter Mortimer. Now Taylor. Ella. Caught by Gary Hughes. Taylor. Cronin. A gap for him. Sterling's with him. Mears is with Sterling, but Sterling has selected Taylor. And Taylor has taken play to 32 metres out from the Canterbury line. Good play from Parramatta. Now he's sharp. And a pass back to Williams. Williams in the clear. Williams for the line and will score. Brad Williams, the replacement winger in the Parramatta side, has put first points on the board. Well, I guess it had to come because this pace has been played, the game has been played at a frightening pace, and that was a good pass from Sharp. A step from Williams off his right foot, and he was into the clear, just beating that desperation tackle from Stephen Folkes to touchdown for the first try of the game.
Initially, there was certainly some good lead-up work by Mick Cronin. They busted them previously, but there was some good work by Brad Williams here, who is a roamer in attack and defence. It's his first grade try on 83.
Well, he'd be feeling absolutely on top of the world. There's the kick from Cronin.
Parramatta have won 2 scrums against the feed. Important in a game as tight as this. Big push on now from both packs. Scrum squirreling around. Well, Mortimer's gone in after it, come up with it. He's got a penalty. That's the first scrum penalty of this match. The crowd not happy about it. Let's have a look at it from the other side. Here's the scrum screwing. This has been one of the things that Parramatta have been criticised for this year.
Well, you can't understand probably Parramatta screwing the scrum there. They had the head in the feed, and he got the front row for going down.
Canterbury have kicked for touch, and it's taken play right on the halfway line now. Material Platt, back to Johnson. Comes out to Hughes, not wearing that headgear he started with. Hughes just handballs it back for Mortimer. The referee, Kevin Roberts, has sent a little knock on. The scrum will pack on the halfway line. Gary Hughes has been suffering from a head wound and wasn't happy wearing that headgear. He's obviously ripped it off. Fed by Parramatta, screwing around again. Mortimer pointing. This time penalty goes to Parramatta. Peter Cross is the verdict this time, Arthur.
Well, certainly Kevin Roberts last week, he had a few problems with his scrums, and now he's starting to have a few problems here.
A shot you won't see anywhere else, exclusive to 9, and that's the blindside feed. Mick Cronin. That's the 22 line, just in front of Eric Grove. So Parramatta in a good position now to attack. We'll see a wall go up, or a variation of the wall. Here come the runners. Sharp's got the football. Out of one. Pittman's got him, though. And they've taken play just inside the 22. Ray Price, Taylor, looking for the switch. That's Bugden. Johnston underneath and Hughes over the top to bring the big man down. Mears. That's the 22 line you can see now, and Parramatta inside with Wynn. Edge. Sterling. Oh, gets out to Kenny, and that's a big tackle. Farah over the top, ball and all. Mears. Turns it away quickly to Edge. Then on to Sterling. Sterling will unload. Yes, he does. Too much defence. They wrap him up. Ray Price will play it back to Edge. Comes to Taylor. Shot for field goal, but not successful.
22-metre place kick now. This is Batiri. Arthur beats him. With this game being played at such a frantic pace, how long can they keep this up?
Well, at the moment we're starting to see a few mistakes creep into the game, and exploring the first 20 minutes, as I said, were very hectic. But as we see now, Canterbury are making a bit of a break. They've got an overlap here.
Got a ball play now from Canterbury. This is Pittman, but the penalty has gone to Parramatta. And there's a player down, flat on his back. Johnson down in back play. This is the pass that has been judged to be forward. 6 points to 0. Parramatta lead. We're about 8 minutes from the half-time break. Now here's Sharp. Sharp allowed to get to within 5 or 6 metres of the Canterbury line. Now Edge. Here's a move with Price. Mears has it. About 3 or 4 decoys in that move. 10 metres out. This is Edge. Knocked it behind him. Referee Roberts doesn't agree. Said he saw a knock on. Scrum is about 7 or 8 metres from the Canterbury line. It's gone with the feed. Steve Mortimer caught by Peter Wynn. And of course, the grand final next week, Manly against the winner of this match, live on 9 if the tickets are all sold for it. And there are still some tickets available. Just on the Canterbury quarter line now with Steve Mortimer and Gary Hughes. And Farah caught very quickly though, and a good tackle by Jeff Bugden. Now to Pittman. Cogney. Just outside the Canterbury quarter. Last tackle for Canterbury. Back for Chris Mortimer. And Steve Mortimer. And again, Steve Mortimer has kicked out on the full. Well, this is most uncharacteristic of Steve Mortimer, rather.
It certainly is. He's put 2 bad kicks in at the moment, and certainly puts a lot of pressure on Canterbury at the moment, especially as we're inside the last 7 minutes. And should Parramatta score, they're going to be very hard to peg back.
Normally Mortimer's line kicks are impeccable. Sterling working the scrum. He's gone with the feed. Hughes has missed him. Finally caught by Farah. Only 12 metres out from the Canterbury line. Price. Caught by Batiri and Pittman. Taylor's dummy half. This is Wynn. This is Growth. Eight metres out now as Taylor did very well to pick that up, but he's still going, Taylor. Finally caught by Hughes and Batiri. 6 metres out from the Canterbury line. Edge. Price. Nick Cronin. Last tackle now for Parramatta. Who's doing the kicking this time? Ella has it. The kick. Regathered by Ella. Ella will score! Well, Stephen Ella surprised everybody in the Canterbury side. They were waiting for a big bomb, and it didn't come. Full marks to Steve Ella. The kick, there was only a little chip in the end, leaping high and getting past that tackle of Chris Mortimer, and Steve Ella in for his 16th try of the year. Great effort.
It certainly was. It was great individual stuff here, but the hit should have been made by Chris Mortimer. It would have been the 6th tackle and they would have got the turnover. But that's just what they didn't want. It's inside the last 5 minutes. Now they've got it all to do.
Well, smart bit of work from Stephen Ella. Here's Cronin, and it is 12 points to 0. Parramatta leading.
Forget that Canterbury have been slow starters all year. In fact, the last time they met, it was 18-0 at half-time, and Canterbury made that beautiful comeback. So we're in for one hell of a game of football here this afternoon. The Parramatta have the football now with Kenny. Growth. Cronin and Growth. Gets out of a fairly high tackle from Hughes, but he came back with the help of Folks. This is Sharp. On to Price. Price with a weaving run. That's the 22 line you can see. In attack, Canterbury have made 57 metres, Parramatta 52 metres. That's an average of 6 tackles, of course. This is Bugden. Oh, nice ball up for Kenny. Kenny unloads to Mears. Mears now. He's got support. Mears sprinting down the touchline. Gets a ball back to Ella. Back to Cronin. Back to Ella. What a try. He's got to score. He's unloaded. Oh, Peter Wynn. And he's short of line and it goes down. And that'll be the try of the year. Oh, what a try. Jack Gibson, no emotion whatsoever. That is the best bit of football we've seen this year. Parramatta. Whoa. Look at the blue and gold go up. Watch it again. This is a delight. Now the ball came across the back line. Here's Bugden. He gets this beautiful ball up to Kenny. Now Kenny got it back to Mears. The big young fellow strode down the touchline. There's Mortimer comes after him. He got it to Ella. Back to Cronin. Back to Ella. Now it looked like they're going to score here and almost bombed it. Got it to Wynn. He stumbled. Gets up. Thank you. 4 points.
Certainly a great try by Peter Wynn. It was his first try for 1983, but it was a tremendous team effort there. There was certainly some great work, especially by Paul Mears.
Arthur will take the kick. There it is. And we'll have another look at the replay. What a sensational try. 18 points to 0. Here it is. Arthur
Certainly a great ball there by Jeff Buckley, but Paul Mears shows surprising pace for a front row forward. But we thought they might have bombed it here, but the support came from everywhere. Certainly great work by Steve Ella here. As Canterbury had 4 back in defence, but Peter Wynn backing up puts the ball over.
Well, a fantastic
away in defence, just ahead of Sharp and Edge, and Coveney well clear of Johnson and Pittman. And here's Price. Well, there's the average attack for 6 tackles. Nothing much between either side. It's a Stephen Edge, 10 metres short of halfway. With Canterbury a mammoth task, 18 points to 0. The story on Ron Hilditch, who was replaced in the first half, is that he has a pinched nerve, and hopefully he'll be fit for the grand final should Parramatta continue on their winning way. Now here's Sterling and Sharp. Last tackle now for Parramatta. Taylor. So off Kenny's hand, picked up though by Steve Mortimer. This is Armstrong. Armstrong to halfway. Good run from Tony Armstrong. Bear in mind that Canterbury were behind 18-0 in their semi-final against Parramatta and came right back to them. Can they do the same thing now? This is Gary Hughes. Stephen Folkes. Pittman. Jeff Robinson. He's back with Steve Mortimer. Johnson. And Coveney. Parramatta defence too good. Steve Mortimer. Gary Hughes. Andrew Farrar. Well, I'm a little disappointed with Jeff Robinson's performance in the first half. Arthur, have you seen the game?
Well, he's certainly not involved in himself very much there, but Jack Gibson, the last thing he'd want is Canterbury to score, but the same thing goes for Teddy Glossop. He'd naturally want Canterbury to score to get back in this match, but they're certainly causing some strife out wide. They're causing Canterbury no end of concern.
What sort of tactics would the coaches be employing now?
Well, as far as Jack Gibson goes, he'd like to keep their scoreline intact. They'd want to try and increase their 18-0 lead, but as I said before, they'd hate to see Canterbury make a comeback like they did before.
Well, Brad Williams making a mistake and getting hit pretty late too, I thought. Judge for yourself the mistake from Brad Williams and Billy Johnson, who's number 12 for Canterbury, and a fairly high one to say the least. Referee Roberts taking no action. Arthur Summons is on the sideline. Arthur, what's the news from the dressing room?
Yes, Jack Gibson doesn't want to let them get back into the game. They've got to continue to keep the ball alive and tackle low on the first tackle. Of course, that's back to square one with Canterbury. They've got to do it all again with their defence better, and they've got to win the ball from the scrum, which they're having a lot of trouble with Parramatta's tactics of screwing the scrum.
Thank you, Arthur. Here's Canterbury with Steve Mortimer in possession just inside the Parramatta half. Peter Mortimer now. Caught by Cronin. Steve Mortimer, Gary Hughes, Jeff Robinson. Bugden's there to pull him down with Stephen Edge. 32 metres out from the Parramatta line. Has Batiri. Canterbury will need to score very quickly in this second half. Now it's Steve Mortimer. The switch. And they put it down, or Chris Mortimer did very well to regather that. Now it's Steve Mortimer. On the fifth tackle. Pressure for Taylor. Taylor put it to ground. Brett Kenny's come up with it. Referee Roberts must have ruled that it came off a Canterbury player. Now here's Taylor again. Just short of the quarter line. There's Sharp and now Taylor. Now Sterling, Cronin. Bugden, back with Cronin, clever ball for Kenny. Here's Growth. Kenny backing up. Looked for somebody inside, couldn't find anybody, and he's pushed over the touchline. So that was clever play from Parramatta, continuing where they left off, Arthur.
Well, they certainly are. They're causing them quite a lot of troubles. Mick Cronin there standing up in the tackle, and they're really supporting the man. Jack Gibson will certainly be happy with the performance today.
Parramatta with 2 scrum wins against the feed. Not this one though. This is Gary Hughes. Now Peter Mortimer. Caught by Cronin. Back to brother Chris. Mortimer out of 2 tackles before he's caught by Taylor and Wynn. 35 metres out from the Canterbury line. Pittman has it. Sandwiched in the tackle. Taylor and Mears doing the work. Here's Steve Mortimer. Jeff Robinson, out of 1. This is Anderson, but Growth doesn't let him get very far at all.
Well, a good duel between the 2 international wingers, and Canterbury looking to take play now to the halfway line. And here they go with Stephen Folkes. No support though for Folkes. There's no runners onto the ball, Arthur.
Well, that's their problem. They're not backing the man up at the ball. There were a few gaps there. Brett Kenny turned his back in the fence there, but he ended up making the tackle and cover the fence.
Gary Hughes. This is Mortimer. They switch play to Coveney. Coveney kicks. Taken well, though, by Taylor. Unloads, too, and that's the story of this match. Parramatta standing, unloading. Is Sharp. That's the 22 line you can see. Plays it forward. Makes 4 or 5 metres. Ray Price, dummy half. At the Sterling onto Cronin. Cronin. So strong and unloads again. Ball goes loose, though. Picked up by Wynn. That's 6 again. Touched by a Canterbury player, so Parramatta again have the 6 tackles. That's the halfway line you can see now. Sharp plays it to Taylor. Bugden run around with Taylor. Swivelling all the time, Parramatta. Edge. The kick from Sterling. Bouncing away awkwardly. Chris Mortimer, just manages to stay in touch. It's only a centimetre in that. A strong run brings him back 13 metres out from his line. Chris Anderson to Steve Mortimer to Hughes. Everybody standing flat-footed. This is Armstrong, taken by Ella. Billy Johnson. Armstrong's lost his boot. Farah. Bit of push and shove there. Johnston. This fellow not as active as he has been the last couple of weeks, Stephen Folkes. This is Mortimer. Switches the point of attack to Pittman. They're outside the 22 now, Canterbury. Back to the kick. Well, he just managed to take that too. Beautifully taken though. This Taylor's having a whale of a game. He loses it. Sterling jumps on it. You mentioned Paul Taylor earlier. He's having a blinder.
He certainly did. You never guess that he's been out of action for 4 weeks. He's certainly involving himself in the play at every opportunity.
Peter Wynn playing it back. This is Mears. Unloading again, Mears. Look at Cronin, all the time in the world to get it to Brad Williams. Well, Canterbury have just got to start hitting their men. They've got to put them down.
Well, Mick Cronin is doing as he likes out there, and there is a problem there. They've got to just put 2 men on Mick Cronin, I believe.
Cronin again with a beautiful pass out. Quick hands. Here's Grape. Here's Grape inside the 22. Bumps off one and skids down, but just into touch. Well, he rolled himself up into a ball then to try and keep his feet inside touch. Watch it again. Belting up the touchline. Now watch him as he's tackled. He'll roll up into almost a ball. Look, skidding down that touchline, trying to keep the feet in, but just went into touch. Penalty straight away from that scrum. Well, Sterling waiting to feed and they couldn't. Parramatta get the penalty. Billy Johnston, the offender. They just can't afford to give penalties away in this area. That's the 22 line you can see. Parramatta hungry for points. It was a differential penalty. That'll take play about 2 metres out from the line. So can Parramatta add to this score at half-time? Was 18-0, still 18-0. A tap is taken. Here's Growth. Growth charging at the line. Defence comes though and meets him. Sterling switches the point of attack to Sharp. Coveney wraps him up. Edge. A dummy half. Oh, the runners came through in Mears, but Kenny swooped on it. Now, he said there's a little knock on there. Kevin Roberts and the crowd not happy with it. We'll see it again. There's the missed pass. Well, We really couldn't see it from that angle. So we've said only 2 scrums won against the feed by Parramatta. This time it's a... This time a Mortimer feed. Straight away a penalty given. Well, he's having a lot of trouble with these scrums. Penalty has gone to Canterbury. And Arthur, what can referees do to solve this scrummaging problem?
Well, probably unless they get coached themselves in the art of scrummaging. There's certainly some problems there, but Kevin Roberts certainly seems to have his problems all the time with scrums. Even last week there was quite a few problems, but I think that they're holding up the scrums too long. They've just got to get the scrums set and feed the ball straight away, and they'll get rid of those problems.
You're having the same problems in Brisbane?
Well, we've been happening for 80 years, haven't we, with problems with scrums? So nothing's changed.
Canterbury have the football now. That's the halfway line, you can see. This is Folkes. Robinson winding up Robinson. Bugden wraps him up though, and the 2 big men hit the deck. Anderson. Mortimer. Hughes. Oh, that pass looked forward to me to Pittman. They've lost possession. This is Ella. Parramatta so quick to jump onto that loose ball there. Masters of broken play this side. Sharp. Replacements coming out for Canterbury. Mark Hughes is one player coming out, and Paul Langmack is the other one. We'll wait till we get a shot of them on the sideline, because at the moment, Bugden, there we have the players for you. Langmack, the kick from Parramatta. You've got to go back for it, right on the goal line, just managing to get out of the field of play. Chris Mortimer will play it short now. Armstrong.
Despite the fact that Parramatta are leading by 18 points to 0 and doing it pretty easily, Anderson makes a break. They've put the ball down again, and it's interesting to note that Parramatta have put the ball down on 10 occasions and Canterbury 5. You would think that it would be the other way, but it's not. And there's a bit of handball and basketball from both teams. Taz Batiri leaving the field, and looks like Mick Pittman is coming off as well. So the 2 second rowers are also coming off the field, and the replacements are Paul Langmack in jumper 14, and Mark also leaving the field for Parramatta. He has a shoulder injury. No replacement as yet. While Stan Jurt is coming to the sideline as we speak. Here's a scrum win to Canterbury. This is Gary Hughes. This is Chris Mortimer. Now it's with Gary Hughes again. Paul Langmack. Mark Hughes. It's a nice welcome to the Sydney Cricket Ground. Stan Jurt involved in the tackle as well. Now Steve Mortimer. Peter Mortimer. Greg Brentnell also coming to the sideline, so Ted Glossop sending out his reinforcements. Oh, and there's Stan Jurt with a big hit on Jeff Robinson. Mortimer's scooped it up and given it to Farah. Armstrong has it. There's a break there for Langmack. And Armstrong again. Here come the Bulldogs. Last tackle now. Billy Johnson kicking straight into the waiting arms of Brett Kenny. And Kenny allowed to run. Kenny to the halfway mark. Now here's Ella, Sterling, Taylor. Lost the ball, Taylor. Jeff Bugden, oh, that doesn't look good with the grand final coming up, Arthur Beetson.
Well, they've certainly got some problems, especially with Ron Hilditch and now Jeff Bugden, so they're going to be a bit short in the front row, so Jack Gibson wouldn't be happy with this.
Sunday. The grand final live on 9. That's provided all the tickets are sold, and there's still some tickets available. So make sure you get them, and you'll be able to see the action live right here on 9. This is Armstrong. Mortimer. Now Hughes. Now Greg Brentnell.
For Canterbury, banks down, number 8.
Playing forward. This is Hughes. Gary Hughes. Greg Brentnell on the field to replace Peter Mortimer, so there's some wholesale changes in this Canterbury side now. This is Chris Anderson. And that's the quarter line you see there. Now Steve Mortimer. Folks, what will I do with it? Anybody's ball. Stephen Sharp there to pick up though. Now Cronin and Growth. Growth is 12 metres out from his own line. Stan Jerd. Caught by Langmack. Now Cronin. Inching his way towards the quarter line. Mears down the blind side, did well to stay in. Last tackle now for Parramatta. Sterling. A kick right across field. Picked up by Taylor. Put down though by Growth. And Canterbury come away with it.
Andrew Farrer to play it back now to Mortimer. Out to Hughes, Gary Hughes. Nowhere to go though, Canterbury. Johnston. This is Mark Hughes, and Fennigan. Mark Hughes and Brett will have more tape on them than a Sol Pattinson chemist. Tape from top of the leg to the bottom, both players. Coveney. Back to Johnston. Mortimer. Hughes. Brentnell. It's the tape I was talking about. Mortimer. Out for Farrer. He puts his foot to the ball. But Ella there to clean it up. Ella's had that job and done it pretty successfully today too, I think.
He's certainly played well. The whole Parramatta back line have certainly played well, but I'm a little bit disappointed in Canterbury's effort. They've made quite a few breaks, and I think that Steve Mortimer hasn't shown the brilliance that he has in the last few weeks. He's not backing up the man with the ball. If he backed up a little bit more, we might see a little bit more of Canterbury.
Ray Price. He's seen a bit of Canterbury there. 3 tacklers. Win at dummy half. Comes back to Cronin. Cronin again unloading to Sharp. Sharp unloading. Look at this. This is Wynn. Beautiful football, but he's put it down. Mortimer comes away with it. Wynn makes sure he wraps him up though. Now can Canterbury put some points on the board? This is Hughes. This is Brentnell. Almost an intercept again. The ball went out to Farrer. He's got it onto Armstrong. Armstrong back inside. Where are the runners? Still going Armstrong. That's a good run. It's played well. Anderson. Brentnell. Comes out to Hughes. Hughes. Play almost to the 22. So Canterbury in a healthy position this time. Showing the ball is Mark Hughes. Langmack at dummy half. Langmack runs from there too and takes play now around about 15 metres out from the line. Mark Hughes. Out to Gary Hughes, on to Steve Mortimer. Turns it back inside to Chris Mortimer. It's taken by Sterling though. Johnston. Steve Mortimer on to Brentnell. Brentnell puts it in the air. Waiting for it. Takes it well to Brentnell and over. Well, there it is. Brentnell's only been on the field for a couple of minutes. Put it in the air. Took it as cool as you like. And in for a try for Canterbury. international fullback. Just have a look at this. The ball came over to Bretnell. He had a look, put it straight in the air. Now look at his face. He never took his eyes off the ball. Waited for it as cool as you like. Took the ball out of the air and said, thank you. I'll put points on the board for Canterbury.
Certainly a very soft try as far as Parramatta are concerned. There was no attempt to take the bomb by any of the Parramatta players. They thought, I think Bretnell got a very big surprise himself. He went in for a third try of 1983. But it was certainly a soft try, and Jack Gibson wouldn't be too pleased with that.
Jack Gibson moves into it now, in the air and off the side of the boot. Parramatta runners in position. There they go. They'll charge the Canterbury defence, taken by Andrew Farah. Hasn't had a lot of chances this afternoon, Farah, but certainly a player with a big future.
He certainly has. He's very similar to Mick Cronin. He's big and strong, and he can stand up and tackle. He's got plenty of pace.
A loose pass picked up by Steve Mortimer. Coveney will play it on the 22. Steve Mortimer out to Hughes. This is Robinson. Robinson unloads this time, though. Gets it on to Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes, an overhead pass. This is better stuff from Canterbury now. On with Chris Anderson. He unloads again. Ball goes loose, though. Picked up by Eric Groth. Sporting a speedy new haircut, too, for the finals and perhaps the grand final.
Ten minutes of this preliminary final remaining. And Arthur Beats and Parramatta only doing what they have to do.
Well, this is it. It looks like they've got the game wrapped up, but if Canterbury can score another try, they're certainly going to provide a few problems. They've got to take a few risks, and they've created a few problems for themselves with loose balls.
And here's Ray Price, and he's only 15 metres out from the Canterbury line. Joe Duella, he's already scored a try with a kick like that. And he's booking, and he's scored another one. Oh, that was so perilously close. The chip kick bundled out of the way by a Canterbury player. The Canterbury players were very reluctant to pick that ball up, and Ella very nearly got his hands to it. Very disappointed he was. And I would think Canterbury would be disappointed too. They were very slow to get on that. As a result of it, a goal line drop out from Greg Brentnell. Down for Peter Sterling. Now this is Eric Groth. And there he goes, blocking two players out of the way. And finally grounded just inside the quarter line. Sampson lost his strength when he had his haircut. It's not happening with Eric Groth. .15 metres out from the Canterbury line. This is Kenny. Cronin is dummy half. Sterling. Kenny. Price. Able to stand and deliver. This is Ella now, just 8 metres out from the Canterbury line. Peter Wynn, two players down in back play. Groth down for Parramatta. Johnson slow to get up for Canterbury. Now it's with Sterling. Plenty of pressure here for Greg Brentnell, but the kick is too big over the dead ball line. So play will run Parramatta, and that's a fine display from Mick Cronin. And I would suggest Arthur Beach had just given an early mark.
Well, I'd say so. It looks like Parramatta have got this game wrapped up, and I would say that Jack Gibson's keeping Mick Cronin for next week against Manly.
Yes, he certainly had a fine game, Cronin. Back to his very best. Canterbury trying to get out of trouble again, as they have been all day, and still more mistakes. And this time it was Brentnell who spilled it, picked up by Stephen Ella. 10 metres out from the Canterbury line. Suddenly Parramatta on the attack again with Mears. Parramatta leading by 18 points to 4 and looking set to play Manly in the grand final next Sunday. And if the tickets are sold, and there are some left, you'll see it live right here on 9 next Sunday afternoon. Hope you'll join us. Stephen Sharp. 3 metres out from the Canterbury line. Price dummy half. This is Wynn. Kenny. Last tackle now for Parramatta. Sterling. Charge through after it. Pressure for Brentnell, but again, that kick just a little too big for Sterling. Over the dead ball line and a 22-metre place kick.
Two footballs on the field at the moment. 5 minutes remaining in this match. 18 points to 4 the score. Parramatta in front. This ground should be packed next week as the premiers will take on the minor premiers, Manly. It's Gary Hughes, taken by Sterling. Greg Brentnell has certainly been involved since he's come onto the field, scored a try. This is Mark Hughes. Steve Mortimer sees a little gap, closes pretty quickly. Gary Martini is on the sideline. Going on now is Gary Martini. Brett Kenny is coming off. In fact, Brett Kenny took a knock back close to the line. So perhaps Jack Gibson taking no chances with Kenny and bringing him off early. Parramatta have used all their replacements now as Robinson takes it up for Canterbury. Mears and Sharp are the tacklers. This is Johnston, Mortimer. Langmack unloads to Johnston. The referee has sent a little knock on, and this scrum will pack on the halfway line. Sterling to feed for Parramatta, and they'll win it. That's the first scrum win to Parramatta in the second half, and that's the halfway line you can see. Win. Robinson quick to dive on Win. It's had a fine game since he come on. Has scored a try. Has made 15 tackles in this game. This is Gary Martini unloading to Sterling. Sterling with a quick ball up for Sharp. Sharp puts a short one back to edge. Play about 4 metres short of the 22 line. Win. Stan Jerd. Turns it back to Price. Price straightens the attack up. Over the 22 is Price. Lost the ball though. And Steve Mortimer will come up with it for Canterbury. So pressure off again. Gary Hughes getting it on to Brentnell. Brentnell over the 22 again. Sharp and Martini the tacklers. Back to Gary Hughes. This is Langmack. Another youngster with a big future in this game of rugby league. Johnston to Mortimer. Long pass out, Mortimer. This defence is to there. Chris Mortimer plays it back now to Folkes, then on to Steve Mortimer. Gary Hughes, they're going nowhere. Anderson, too much defence. Sharp and Mears, they hunt in a pack and they've tackled like that all day. Gary Hughes to Armstrong. He turned it back inside to Farah. Farah gave it to Sterling. Sterling back to Martini. Canterbury meet Martini 10 metres short of the 22 line. Mears. Mears pretty slow to get up after that tackle. He sort of went in with his shoulder. It looks like his knee. Hobbling. Sad day actually for Canterbury because Greg Brentnell will be making his last appearance at the Sydney Cricket Ground. He's going to Wagga to take a position up in the promotion of rugby league. Been a fine player for Canterbury and for the state of New South Wales and of course Australia. It's him with the ball now. Greg Brentnell's last game at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And Arthur, what a great player he's been.
He's certainly been a fine ambassador for the code, and I think he can only do good for the code down there, down at Wagga. He's certainly been a fine player. He's given his all for Australia, and certainly Canterbury out here today.
Yes, he's had a dismal season with injuries to finish up on. And of course, he'll be working very closely with one of our commentators, Arthur Summons. This is Bretnell now. Gets it out to Farah. Pass up for Armstrong. But handball into touch. And there's chasing the football. Sterling to feed for Parramatta. Kevin Roberts trying to keep this scrum straight. He's had big troubles this afternoon. And again, it's fallen down, but Mortimer's come away with it. That was against the feed too, as Gary Hughes. Back to Mortimer. Langmack. Off the ground, though. Ella's got it. Ella puts it into gear. They meet him just short of the 22. And there's the full-time hooter. Parramatta have defeated Canterbury to the tune of 18 points to 4 here this afternoon. Goodbye to the Bulldogs for 1983. Of course, Parramatta now moving to the grand final against Manly. And there should be a bumper crowd to see it. Two wonderful football teams. Canterbury have put a very courageous effort up this year. They came out of the clouds to get to this game. And they'd be most disappointed going out the way they have, 18 points to 4. Penalties went Canterbury's way 10-6. Scrums also went Canterbury's way 10-7. Don't forget, if all tickets are sold, we'll have a